Problem 36. Harvesting renewable resources, fishing. Suppose that the population y of t of a certain kind of fish is given by the logistic equation, equation 11 of the book, and fish are caught at a rate hy proportional to y. Solve the so-called Schaefer model. Find the equilibrium solutions y1 and y2 greater than 0 when h less than a. The expression y equal to hy2 is called the equilibrium harvest or sustainable yield corresponding to hy. First, let us write down the logistic equation from the book. The logistic equation is y dash equal to ay minus by square, and it is sometimes also called the Verhulst equation. This logistic equation gives the evolution of population of plants, animals or humans over time t. This equation plays an important role in population dynamics, which has been given in the book. Now, as per the question, the population of the fish is given by this logistic equation. That is, the rate of change of population y of t is given by this equation. So, the population of fish y of t is given by this equation, the logistic equation. Next in the question, it is given that the fish are caught at a rate hy proportional to y. So, rate of catching of fish is hy, where this y is the population of fish at any time t. So, at any time the population of fish is given by y of t and the rate of catching is given by hy. And this model, this logistic equation gives the rate of change of population if there was no fishing. So, if there is fishing, then another equation will guide the rate of change of population of the fish. So, let us write that. So, now considering fishing, the model for population of fish will be this right hand side minus this one. So, it will be y dash equal to ay minus by square minus h of y, because this first part is the rate of change of fish if there was no fishing, and this h of y is the rate of catching of fish. So, the final rate of change is rate of change of population of the fish without fishing minus rate of fishing. So, this is the final model considering fishing, and this model is called Schaefer model as given in the question. Now, the question is asking us first to solve this so called Schaefer model. We can see that this equation is in the form of Bernoulli equation, similar to the original logistic equation which was also in Bernoulli's equation form. So, let us rearrange the Schaefer model and solve it. So, let us first write this equation in standard form of Bernoulli equation. So, this implies y dash equal to a minus h y minus by square, which implies y dash plus h minus a y equal to minus by square. Now, it is in the form of Bernoulli equation. We know to solve the Bernoulli equation, we have to take this exponent a and substitute u equal to y to the power 1 minus a, which is equal to y to the power minus 1 because a is 2, and this implies u dash equal to minus y to the power minus 2 y dash, and from here we can put the value of y dash and we can write this as u dash equal to minus y to the power minus 2 multiplied by a minus h y minus by square. This is equal to minus a minus h multiplied by y to the power minus 1 and y to the power minus 1 is u, so this is minus a minus h u plus b. Now we can rewrite this equation and we can write this as u dash plus a minus h u equal to b. Now this is in the standard form of non-homogeneous linear differential equation, and we can solve this non-homogeneous linear differential equation by using our standard formula. For that, this a minus h is p and b is the r of x. So we have h equal to integration of a minus h dt, which is equal to a minus ht, and u equal to e to the power minus h, so minus a minus capital HT multiplied by integration of e to the power h, which is a minus h t b dt, because b is r of x, plus constant of integration c. We know u equal to y to the power minus 1, so we can write this as y to the power minus 1, and we can solve the right hand side, and that will be b divided by a minus h plus c e to the power minus a minus h t, and this implies y equal to a minus h divided by b plus c multiplied by a minus h e to the power minus a minus h multiplied by t. And this is the general solution of the differential equation, that is this Schaefer model. Next, the question is asking us to find the equilibrium solutions y1 and y2 which is greater than 0 when h is less than a. We can see that this equation is an autonomous differential equation because this right hand side doesn't have the independent variable explicitly. So that is why it is an autonomous differential equation. We have already discussed autonomous differential equation in chapter 1.2 in video number 5 and also in the previous video. For autonomous differential equations, there are some constant solutions which are called equilibrium solutions, and there can be two types of equilibrium solutions: stable equilibrium solutions and unstable equilibrium solutions. So let us find those solutions. We can also find those equilibrium solutions from this general solution of the Schaefer model or general solution of the autonomous differential equation. But now let us use another common method to find the equilibrium solutions. I have already told you right now that the equilibrium solutions are constant solutions. So that means the solution y will be constant for equilibrium solutions, and if y is constant, that means derivative of y will be 0. So we can put this derivative of y equal to 0 in this place, and this right hand side will equate to 0, and from that we can find various values of y. So it can also be said that if the autonomous differential equation is in the form y dash equal to f of x, then the zeros of f of x or the values of x for which f of x is 0 are the equilibrium solutions of the differential equation. So let us put ay minus by square minus hy equal to 0. So y dash equal to 0, that implies ay minus by square minus hy equal to 0. This implies we can take y common, and this will be a minus h minus by equal to 0, which implies y has two values, 0 or a minus h divided by b. Now this y equal to 0 and A minus h by b are the two equilibrium solutions. Now let us see how can we find the equilibrium solutions from the general solution. If we put t tends to infinity in this general solution, let us put t tends to infinity. In this term, we can see that if t tends to infinity, this whole exponent of e will be negative. So it will be e to the power minus infinity, which tends to 0. So this term c multiplied by e minus h multiplied by e to the power minus aht will be 0. So this y of t will tend to a minus h by b. So if t tends to infinity, y tends to a minus h by b. Now if t tends to minus infinity, then this term c minus a minus h multiplied by e to the power minus aht will tend to infinity, because t tends to minus infinity. So this exponent will tend to infinity. So this whole term will tend to infinity, and if the denominator tends to infinity, then y of t will tend to 0. So y of t tends to 0. So we can see by putting t tends to infinity and t tends to minus infinity, we have got the equilibrium solutions. So equilibrium solutions are those special solutions for which y is constant. So in this graph, at t tends to infinity and t tends to minus infinity, y of t is constant. That is why the equilibrium solutions are at t tends to infinity and t tends to minus infinity. Now let us see which of these equilibrium solutions are stable and which of these are unstable. We can find the stability or instability of the equilibrium solutions by plotting the direction fields, of course, but we will use the phase line method, which is easier. So let us draw the phase line. The phase line is a straight line which denotes the solutions of yt in a linear scale. First let us put 0, the first equilibrium solution, and then a minus h by b. Now in the question it is given that h is less than a. Now since h is less than a, that is why a minus h is positive, and that is why a minus h by b is situated above the 0, because it is positive. If a minus h by b was negative, then we will place this solution below 0. So above 0 is the positive direction and below 0 is the negative direction. Now the phase line has been divided into three portions. One is below 0, one is between 0 and a minus h by b, and one is above a minus h by b. And we will find out if y dash t is positive or negative in each of the three sections. Y dash is given by the equation ay minus by square minus hy, which is the Schaefer model. Equation for y dash is a minus h y minus by square, and this right hand side can again be written as by multiplied by a minus h by b minus y, and this right hand side is equal to y dash. So we will use this equation now to find out the positiveness or negativeness of the slope of y or y dash. So in the upper part above a minus h by b, y of t will be more than a minus h by b. So this y of t will be more than this a minus h by b. So this term inside curly brackets will be negative. Y will be positive because it is situated above 0. For this portion, the values of y will be positive. So this y is positive, this term is negative. So this entire term is negative now. So the sign of y dash is negative. So for this upper portion, y dash is less than 0. For this middle portion, the value of y is between 0 and a minus h by b. So y is less than a minus h by b. So this y is less than this first term a minus h by b. So this curly bracket term is positive. This y is positive because y is above 0. So this whole term is positive. That means y dash is positive. So y dash is greater than 0. Now for this bottom section, y is negative. Now since y is negative, minus y will be positive. So this curly bracket term will be positive, but this y is negative. So this whole multiplied term will be negative multiplied by positive, which is negative. So that means y dash is negative. So for this bottom section, y dash is less than 0. We've discussed in the previous video, for y dash less than 0, we draw arrows downwards. For y dash positive, we draw arrow upwards. Here also upwards. For y dash less than 0, the arrows are drawn downwards. Now for a minus h by b, the arrows point towards the solution. That means this a minus h by b is a stable equilibrium solution. For this 0, the arrows they point away from the solution. So that means this is an unstable equilibrium solution. We have already discussed stable equilibrium solutions and unstable equilibrium solutions in video number 16, which is the previous video, problem number 34. You can watch that video. So now we have found that a minus h by b is a stable equilibrium solution and 0 is an unstable equilibrium solution. Next, the question is saying that the expression y equal to hy2 is called the equilibrium harvest or sustainable yield corresponding to h phi. So now we have found the stable equilibrium solution of the Schaefer model equation. So y equal to a minus h by b is a stable equilibrium solution, and we have already discussed that the rate of catching of fish is hy. So rate of catching of fish is given by h multiplied by y of t, and we have found the solution corresponding to the Schaefer model, which is y equal to a minus h by b. So this a minus h by b multiplied by h will give the sustainable or stable rate of catching of fish. So stable rate of catching of fish equal to h multiplied by this y value, which is a minus h divided by b. And why it is called equilibrium harvest or sustainable yield? Because we can see that corresponding to this rate of catching of fish, the solution to the Schaefer model is a constant. Because it is an equilibrium solution, that means the solution is a constant solution. We have seen here that the equilibrium solution are constant solutions. So that means if we catch this much fish, then the population of fish will not go down to 0 or it will not keep on rising. So if we catch this much fish, then the population of fish in the pond will remain constant at a minus h by b. So that is why this is called the sustainable yield. At this much yield or at this much catching of fish, we will keep on catching fish and the population of fish will also remain constant as t tends to infinity or even after a sufficient amount of time. It is called sustainable because we can sustain this much catching of fish till t tends to infinity or for a long period. Now we can obviously see that this second unstable solution multiplied by h gives us 0 rate of catching of fish. That means this solution gives us that we are not going to catch any fish, which is not useful for us. So this solution multiplied by h gives us the sustainable rate of catching of fish. Problem 37, harvesting. In problem 36, find and graph the solution satisfying y of 0 equal to 2 when, for simplicity, a equal to b equal to 1 and h equal to 0.2. What is the limit? What does it mean? What if there were no fishing? So from previous problem number 36, with fishing, the differential equation or the model is y dash equal to a minus h y minus by square, and this is also called the Schaefer model, and its solution was y equal to a minus h divided by b plus c whole into a minus h multiplied by e to the power minus a minus h t. This equation guides the population of fish y of t at any time t with fishing. So now in this problem number 37, it is asking us to graph the solution satisfying the initial value condition. An initial value condition has been given, y of 0 equal to 2, and the values of a, b and h are given, a and b equal to 1 and h equal to 0.2. So if we put these values of a, b and h in this equation, there will be one unknown, the value of c, which we can find out by using the initial value condition, and then we can get a particular solution of y of t as a function of t, and that particular solution we can graph in x and y axis. So let us write the equation by inserting the values of a, b and h. So y of t equal to a is 1, h is 0.2, so this is 0.8 divided by b is 1 plus c multiplied by a minus h, which is 0.8 e to the power minus 0.8 t. Now this is a general solution with given values of a, b and h, and we can find the corresponding particular solution by inserting the initial value condition. For this initial value condition, at t equal to 0, y is 2. So we will put t equal to 0 and y equal to 2 to find the value of c. So we have 2 equal to 0.8 divided by 1 plus c multiplied by 0.8 e to the power 0, which is 1. So this right hand side is equal to 0.8 divided by 1 plus c multiplied by 0.8. From this we have c multiplied by 0.8 equal to 0.8 by 2 minus 1, and c equal to this multiplied by 1 by 0.8, and this is equal to minus 3 by 4 or minus 0.75. Now we can put this value of c in the general solution to obtain the particular solution. The particular solution will be y of t equal to 0.8 divided by 1 minus 0.75 multiplied by 0.8 multiplied by e to the power minus 0.8 t, which is equal to 0.8 divided by 1 minus 0.6 e to the power minus 0.8 t. So this is the particular solution. Now we can plot this particular solution in x and y plane by using any of the CAS tools we have. We are going to use Sage Math for this. You can use either the Windows calculator or Desmos, which is an online graphing calculator, or MATLAB Mathematica, anything to plot the particular solution. For plotting this particular solution, now let us go to Sage Math. In Sage Math, we will write variable x, y, var xy, plot. We will write the equation of the particular solution, which is 0.8 divided by 1 minus 0.6 multiplied by e to the power minus 0.8 multiplied by x. We are using x here instead of t because x is the independent variable, and in the original equation t was the independent variable. We can use either x or t, anything you want, and we will give the x range. Now since t, the time can only be greater than 0, so we are going to give the x range higher starting from 0. So x min will be equal to 0 and x max, let us take as 10. Now we will plot this graph in x and y plane. Now this is the graph of the particular solution. We can see that this graph satisfies the initial value condition because at time t equal to 0, the value of y was 2 or the fish population was 2. So this graph satisfies the initial value condition, and with increase in time we can see that the population of fish is decreasing in this model. We can see in this graph that the population of fish is continuously decreasing but going towards a steady state value as time tends to infinity. We can see that that value looks to be 0.8. That is, this graph starts from 0, 2 and goes towards steady value of 0.8 when t tends to infinity. This is because we can see from here the equilibrium solution a minus h by b that we found in the previous problem equal to a is 1, h is 0.2 divided by 1 equal to 0.8. So as t tends to infinity, the population of fish is going towards this equilibrium solution, which is 0.8, and this we can see right here. As t tends to infinity, the population of fish is going towards a constant value or steady state value or equilibrium value of 0.8. Next, the question is asking what is the limit and what does this mean? The limit, as we have already discussed, is 0.8, and this means after a substantial amount of time, the population of fish will be 0.8. We can also find by putting t tends to infinity in this general solution. Let us do that again. So we will find limit t tends to infinity of y of t, which will be equal to 0.8 divided by limit t tends to infinity 0.8 divided by 1 minus 0.6 e to the power minus 0.8 t. When t tends to infinity, this term will tend to 0. So this will be equal to 0.8 divided by 1, which is 0.8, exactly what we have found here. So the limit of population is 0.8. After a substantial amount of time, even with the fishing, the population of fish will be 0.8. Next, the question is asking, what if there were no fishing? Now, if there is no fishing, then the model of population will be the logistic equation. So, without fishing, the model is the logistic equation as we have discussed in the previous problem, which is y dash equal to ay minus by square. This equation is in the Bernoulli equation form. In the book, in this chapter, in example 4, this equation has already been solved, and the solution is y of t equal to a divided by b plus ca e to the power minus at. This is the population of fish as a function of time if there is no fishing. So if there is no fishing, then the fish population follows the logistic equation model. Problem 38, intermittent harvesting. In problem 36, assume that you fish for 3 years, then fishing is banned for the next 3 years. Thereafter you can start again and so on. This is called intermittent harvesting. Describe qualitatively how the population will develop if intermitting is continued periodically. Find and graph the solution for the first 9 years, assuming that A equal to B equal to 1, H equal to 0.2 and Y of 0 equal to 2. From the previous two problems, we have understood that with fishing, the differential equation is given by the Schaefer model and its solution is y of t equal to a minus h divided by b plus c a minus h e to the power a minus h t, and without fishing the population is given by y of t equal to a by b plus ca e to the power minus at. This first one we got by solving the Schaefer model and the second one by solving the logistic equation. This first solution gives the population of fish at a given time t if fishing is allowed, and the second equation gives the population of fish at any time t without any fishing. Now the question is asking that intermittent harvesting is allowed. For first 3 years fishing is allowed, for the next 3 years fishing is banned, and then fishing is allowed again. So in the first period when fishing is allowed, the population of fish will drop. In the second period when fishing is not allowed, the population of fish will rise, and in the third period when fishing is allowed, the population will again drop, and this will go on. The question is asking us to find and graph the solution for the first 9 years, assuming that a equal to 1, b equal to 1, h equal to 2, and initial value condition at the beginning of this intermittent harvesting at t equal to 0 is given as 2. So let us write down the given data. A equal to b equal to 1, h equal to 0.2 and y of 0 equal to 2. Now for the first period, time t is less than 3 and greater than 0, and for the first period fishing is allowed. So for this period, this first equation 1 will be valid. So from equation 1 we can write y of t equal to a minus h, which is 0.8 divided by 1 plus c multiplied by 0.8 a minus h e to the power minus 0.8 t. Now this is the general solution. For obtaining the particular solution, we have this initial value condition. So the initial value condition is y of 0 equal to 2. Now since this period starts from 0, that is why the initial value condition is at time t equal to 0, the population was 2. We can put that in here and we have 2 equal to 0.8 divided by 1 plus c multiplied by 0.8, and in place of t we are going to put 0 because at time t equal to 0 the value of y was 2. So e to the power 0 is 1, and from this we can solve for c. In problem 37 we have already solved for c and the value of c was minus 3 by 4 or minus 0.75. We can put this value of c in the general solution to obtain the particular solution, and the particular solution will be y of t equal to 0.8 divided by 1 minus 0.6 e to the power minus 0.8 t. We have already obtained this particular solution in the previous problem, problem number 37. Now we can draw the graph of this particular solution. We have already drawn the graph in the previous problem, so we will just look at that. So this is the graph of the particular solution, but now this graph is only valid for the time interval from 0 to 3. In this program we are going to put x max equal to 3, and now this will accurately plot the interval that we are discussing right now. So now the graph is plotted from 0 till 3. Now we will take the second interval into consideration. However, for the second interval the initial value condition will be given by the end point of the first interval. So, the second interval will start from this point and then from this point it will go onwards. So, the initial value condition for the second interval will be given by this point, and we can obtain the x and y coordinates of this point by putting t equal to 3 in this equation and obtaining the corresponding value of y, that will give the y coordinate. So, we will put t equal to 3 in this equation to obtain the corresponding value of y, which will give the yt or ty coordinate, which will be the initial value condition for the second interval. So, now we will put for t equal to 3, y equal to 0.8 divided by 1 minus 0.6 e to the power minus 0.8 multiplied by 3, and this is equal to 0.84605. So, the coordinate of this point is, first we will write the t coordinate 3 and then the y coordinate, that is 0.84605, and this will be the initial value condition for the second interval. Now, let us plot this point in the graph first. So, we will write point and inside we will put the coordinate 3, 0.84605. Then we will put size equal to, let us say 50, and color equal to red. To distinguish this point from the line, let us take the first graph as a variable, the second one as b variable, then c equal to a plus b and c dot show. We have added a and b because otherwise if we write just plot and point, then the plot command will be overwritten by this point command and only the point will be plotted in the graph. So, that is why we have assigned those two plots, that is the graph and the point, to two separate variables, added them, and then we have written c dot show to plot both of them in a single graph. Now, you can see that the point is exactly at the end point of the graph, exactly what we have calculated here. Now, let us go to the second interval. For the second interval, the time is less than 6 and more than 3, and for this we have already got the initial value condition, that is y of 3 equal to 84605, and in this period fishing is not allowed. So, we are going to use this second equation now. So, the equation is y of t equal to a divided by b plus c a e to the power minus at. Now, we will put the values of a and b in here, and this is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus c e to the power minus t. Now, we can use this initial value condition for the second interval to obtain the value of c. So, we will write 3 0.84605 equal to 1 divided by 1 plus c e to the power minus 3. This implies c e to the power minus 3 equal to 1 divided by 0.84605 minus 1, and c equal to this multiplied by e to the power 3, which is equal to 3.6548. So, now we have obtained the value of c, and we can write the particular solution as y of t equal to 1 by 1 plus 3.6548 e to the power minus t by putting the value of c in this equation. Now, we have obtained the equation of the graph for the second interval. So we can plot this now using SageMath. In SageMath, we are going to use this same command with a little bit of changes to plot the graph of the second interval. So we will copy it and paste. In the place of the first function, we are going to write our second function, which is this one, 1 by 1 plus 3.6548 e to the power minus t. So this is 1 by 1 plus 3.6548 multiplied by e to the power minus x. We are going to write x in place of t because x is the independent variable here. Now we are going to change the x range from 3 to 6 because we are plotting this graph from x range of 3 to 6 or t range of 3 to 6 in here. Now we will assign it to another variable, let us say c, and write here, change it to d equal to a plus b plus c, capital C. You have to remember that SageMath is case sensitive. So if you are going to define a variable capital C, then you have to write capital C at all places. Now in here we will write d dot show. So now this d variable holds all three plots. The first plot from 0 to 3, the point B, and the third plot from 3 to 6. Now let us press evaluate to plot the interval from 0 to 3 and from 3 to 6. We can see that in the first interval the fish population was decreasing. Then in the second interval, when fishing was banned, the fish population increased. Now for the third interval, this point will be the initial value condition, because for the third interval the graph will start from this point, and since in the third interval fishing is allowed, it will go from this point downwards like this. So let us find this point. For finding this point, we will put t equal to 6 in the equation of the second interval to obtain the corresponding value of y, and that will give us this point. And then after finding this point, we will plot this point with a red dot. So we will put t equal to 6 in this particular solution to find the corresponding value of y and initial value condition for the third interval. So at t equal to 6, the value of y will be 1 by 1 plus 3.6548 e to the power minus 6, which is equal to 0.99102. So this y value is the corresponding y value to t equal to 6, this value. Now we will plot this y value in the graph. We can write that coordinate of end point of the second interval as 6, 0.99102, and this is the initial value condition for the third interval. Let us plot this point in the graph. For that, we will copy this point command because we are going to use the same syntax. We will write 6 in place of 3, and the corresponding y value is 0.99102. We will keep the size and color same. Now we will assign it to another variable d, and now we will change it to e, write plus d and print e. Now this e value has 4 things in it: a, the first graph from 0 to 3, b, the end point of the first interval, c, the graph from 3 to 6, and d, the end point of the second interval. Now press evaluate to plot all 4 things in a single graph. you can see that the end point of the second interval is given by this point, which we have calculated in this equation. Now let us go for the third interval. For the third interval, time t is less than 9 and greater than 6, and in this interval fishing is allowed again. Since fishing is allowed, we are going to use the solution of the Schaefer model. So we have y of t equal to 0.8 divided by 1 plus c multiplied by 0.8 e to the power minus 0.8 t. We put the values of a, b and h and used this equation directly. But this initial value condition in the first interval will not be applicable in the third interval. For the third interval, we have the initial value condition, which is y of 6 equal to 0.99102. That is the end point of the second interval. Now let us put this initial value condition in this general solution to obtain the value of c. So we have 0.99102 equal to 0.8 divided by 1 plus c multiplied by 0.8 e to the power minus 0.8 multiplied by 6. This implies c multiplied by 0.8 multiplied by e to the power minus 0.8 into 6 equal to 0.8 divided by 0.99102 minus 1, and then we can divide the 0.8 term on the right hand side and take this term to the right hand side. So this will be e to the power 0.8 multiplied by 6, and this is the value of c. So from here c equal to minus 29.2766. Now we can put the value of c in this general solution to obtain the particular solution for the third interval, which is equal to y of t equal to 0.8 divided by 1 minus this 0.8 multiplied by 29.2766 will be 23.4212 e to the power minus 0.8 multiplied by t. So we have the particular solution. Now we can graph this particular solution using Sage Math. So we will copy the first plot command, paste it in here. Now we will edit this command as per our requirement. So in this place there is 23.4212. So we will write 23.4212 multiplied by e to the power minus 0.8x, that is correct, but the x range will be from 6 till 9. We will change the variable it is assigned to, which will be e, capital E. Now here it will be f, and we will write plus e and plot f dot show. Now if everything is correct, the third interval will start from here and gradually go downwards. Let us press evaluate and see exactly what we had expected. You can see that this graph is same as the graph given in the book, which is this one. It starts from 2, then goes down, goes up and goes down. Here also it starts from 2, then goes up and down. Now let us find out this end point, this point. so that we can find what the population of the fish is at the end of these 3 intervals. For that, we can put t equal to 9 in this graph to obtain the corresponding value of y, and that will be the population of fish at the end of these intermittent harvesting intervals. So, at t equal to 9, y equal to 0.8 divided by 1 minus 23.4212 e to the power minus 0.8 multiplied by 9, which is equal to 0.8142, and this is the population of the fish at the end of these 3 intermittent harvesting intervals. Problem 39, extinction versus unlimited growth. If in a population y of t, the death rate is proportional to the population and the birth rate is proportional to the chance encounters of meeting mates for reproduction, what will the model be? Without solving, find out what will eventually happen to a small initial population to a large one, then solve the model. So it is given in the question that y of t is the population at any time t. It is also given that the death rate is proportional to the population. So death rate is proportional to y of t, which implies the death rate equal to, let us say, k as a constant of proportionality. So k multiplied by y of t. It is also given that the birth rate is proportional to the chance encounters of meeting mates for reproduction. So birth rate is proportional to the chance encounters of meeting mates. Now, what does this mean? What does the question mean by chance encounters of meeting mates? We have already solved a similar problem in problem number 34 of this chapter. You can refer to the previous video, video number 16 for that. In that problem, we found out the number of contacts between infected persons and non-infected persons. And we found that the number of contacts is equal to the number of infected persons multiplied by the number of non-infected persons. The same concept will be used here. Let us assume that a proportion or a fraction of total population are male, then 1 minus a fraction or proportion would be female. This means if we assume that a is 1 by 2, that means half of the population are male, then 1 minus 1 by 2, which is other half of the population, would be female. Similarly, if we assume that 1/3 of the population are male, that is a equal to 1 by 3, then 1 minus 1 by 3 is 2 by 3, that means 2/3 of the population would be female. From this, how can we calculate the number of people who are male? For that, we have to multiply a with y of t. For example, if we assume that 1 by 2 fraction or half of the population are male, then half multiplied by the total population would give us the number of people that are male. Similarly, if we assume that 1/3 of the population are male, that means a equal to 1 by 3, then that a or 1 by 3 multiplied by the total population at time t, that is y of t, would give us the number of people who are male. So, number of male persons is a multiplied by y of t. Similarly, number of female persons would be equal to 1 minus a multiplied by y of t. Now, we have found out the number of male persons and number of female persons. Let us assume that there are 2 males and 3 females. We are just taking an example here for making it easy to understand. So, if there are 2 males, let us say PQ, and 3 females, let us say x, y and z. So how many contacts between them can be there? Px, Py, Pz, similarly Qx, Qy, Qz. There can be 6 interactions between them, so that we can get by multiplying 2 with 3. Similarly, if there are a y of t males and 1 minus a y of t females, then the number of chance encounters would be a y of t multiplied by 1 minus a y of t. So we have number of chance encounters equal to a multiplied by 1 minus a y of t square. So this is the number of chance encounters. Let us take this a multiplied by 1 minus a equal to capital A, then this is a multiplied by y of t square. Now we have birth rate is proportional to chance encounters of meeting mates. Then the birth rate would be proportional to this a multiplied by y of t square. So we have birth rate proportional to this a multiplied by y of t square. We can introduce a constant of proportionality and we can write birth rate equal to, let us say, k2 a y of t square. Now let us take this k2a as alpha. So this is equal to alpha y square. So now we have the expression for birth rate and the expression for death rate. So now we know that the rate of change of population would be equal to birth rate minus death rate. So we can write rate of change of population equal to birth rate minus death rate. Now if y of t is the population, then rate of change of population with respect to time will be dy or dy of t by dt, which will be equal to birth rate, which is alpha y square, minus death rate, which is this ky of t. So ky. So we have the differential equation now. This is the differential equation or the model governing this physical system that was described in the question. So we have found out the model, which was the first part of the solution. In the second part, it is asking, without solving, find out what will eventually happen to a small initial population and to a large one. And we can see it is in the Bernoulli form because this y square is a non-linear term. So we can write this as y dash plus ky equal to alpha y square. Here a equal to 2, this exponent. So we will substitute u equal to y to the power minus 1, that is 1 minus a, which means u dash equal to minus y to the power minus 2 y dash, and we have y dash equal to this alpha y square minus ky. So this means u dash equal to minus y to the power minus 2 alpha y square minus ky, which is equal to minus alpha plus k u. Now we can rearrange this equation and we can write this as u dash minus ku equal to minus alpha. From this non-homogeneous linear differential equation, we have h equal to integration of minus k dt, which is minus kt, which means u equal to e to the power minus h, which is kt, multiplied by integration of e to the power minus kt multiplied by minus alpha dt plus constant of integration c, and u equal to 1 by y. This implies 1 by y equal to e to the power kt, and this inside term can be written as alpha by k e to the power minus kt plus c, which means 1 by y equal to alpha by k plus c e to the power kt, which means y equal to k divided by alpha plus ck e to the power kt. And this is the general solution of the differential equation. Now let us assume an initial value condition. So let us assume y of 0 equal to y naught. That means at t equal to 0, y of t equal to y naught. That means the initial population as y0. We can use this initial value condition to find out the value of c. So we can write y naught equal to k divided by alpha plus c k e to the power kt, and t equal to 0. So this term will be 1. So this means alpha plus ck equal to k divided by y naught. Now we can take this alpha term to the right hand side, and this will be minus alpha, and now we can write this c and take this k to the right hand side, so this will be 1 by k. So from here we have c equal to k minus alpha y naught divided by y naught k. Now we can put this value of c in the general solution to obtain the particular solution. So we have the particular solution, which will be y equal to k divided by alpha plus ck, which is k minus alpha y naught divided by y naught e to the power kt. This right hand side can now be simplified, and it will be k y naught divided by alpha y naught plus k minus alpha y naught e to the power kt, and this is the particular solution. Now let us see what happens for a small value of y naught and for a large value of y naught. For that, let us assume some values of alpha and k. Let us assume k equal to 5, alpha equal to 2, and y naught, that is the initial population, equal to 1. Now let us see what happens to the particular solution. We have y equal to k y naught, which is 5, divided by alpha y naught, which is 2, plus k minus alpha y naught, which is 3, e to the power kt, which is 5t. Now let us plot this equation as a graph using SageMath. So we will write the command variable x, y in quotation marks to define the variables x and y. Then we will write plot. Then we will write our function, which is 5 by 2 plus 3 e to the power 5t, 5 divided by 2 plus 3 multiplied by e to the power 5 multiplied by x. In the original equation, t was the independent variable, but In this expression, x is the independent variable. It is the same thing. So, we have written 5 by 2 plus 3 e to the power 5x, and we will define some x and y range to plot the graph. We will write x min equal to 0 because the time starts at t equal to 0, and x max equal to 5, and by pressing evaluate we got the graph. We can see that the graph begins at t equal to 0 at 1. That means the initial population was 1, exactly what we have considered here, and with increase in time the population decreases and steadily goes towards 0. That means for a small initial population the population decreases with time and tends to 0. That means it goes to extinction. Now let us take a higher value of y naught and see what happens. Let us take y naught equal to 10 with the same k and alpha values. So we have k equal to 5, alpha equal to 2, and y naught equal to 10. Now the particular solution becomes y equal to, the numerator we have k y naught, which is 50. So we have 50 divided by alpha y naught, which is 20, minus k minus alpha y naught. So k is 5 and alpha y naught is 20. So 5 minus 20 is 15 e to the power kt, which is 5t. Now let us plot this equation using SageMath. For plotting the graph, we will write the command variable xy plot, then the equation of the particular solution, which is 50 by 20 minus 15 e to the power 5x or 5t. Then we have taken some x and y range. The x range starts from 0 because time starts at 0, and we have taken some x and y range. Now if we press evaluate, it will plot the graph of the particular solution. You can see at time t equal to 0, the population was 10, exactly the same initial value condition that we have considered while finding out this particular solution, and it starts from population of 10 and grows with increase of time. So we have seen that in the first case, with increase of time the graph decreased and went towards 0 when the initial population was 1, and in the second case with the same value of k and alpha, with initial population of 10 the graph increased. That means the population increased. So we saw that for the same value of alpha and k, the initial value condition determines whether the population goes towards extinction or it increases unlimitedly. Exactly the statement of the problem, extinction versus unlimited growth. So the initial population decides what happens to the population as time tends to infinity. Now one thing you can see or note here, that this the sign of k minus alpha y naught decides if the population goes towards extinction or increases unlimitedly. You can see in the first case k minus alpha y naught was greater than 0 because k is 5 and alpha y naught is 2. So k minus alpha y naught was 3, which is positive. You can see here that this k minus alpha y naught term was positive. But in the second case, k minus alpha y naught was negative, less than 0, because k was 5 and alpha y naught was 20. So that is minus 15, which is less than 0. So this k minus alpha y naught decides if the population goes towards extinction or increases unlimitedly. So with the same value of k and alpha, this y naught decides if this k minus alpha y naught term is positive or not, and thus this y naught is the determining factor of what happens to the population. So now we have the conclusion that the condition for extinction is k minus alpha y naught is greater than 0, which implies k is greater than alpha y naught, or we can write that k by alpha is greater than y naught. This is the condition for extinction. That means if the initial population is less than the k by alpha value, then the population will go towards extinction, and if k minus alpha y naught is less than 0, then that is the condition for unlimited growth. So this implies k is less than alpha y naught, or we can write k by alpha is less than y naught, and this is the condition for unlimited growth. So if the initial population is greater than k by alpha, then the population grows unlimitedly. So this k by alpha factor determines what happens to the population. If the initial population y naught is less than the k by alpha value, here we can see that k by alpha is 2.5, 5 by 2, and the initial population 1 is less than k by alpha, and that is why the population went towards extinction. And the second case, k by alpha is the same 2.5, whereas y naught, the initial population, is greater than k by alpha, this condition, that is why the population grew unlimitedly. This is the condition for unlimited growth. And k and alpha are from this differential equation. The coefficient of y square term is alpha, and the coefficient of y term is the k term. These two coefficients decide what happens to the population as t tends to infinity with a given initial population. Problem 40, air circulation. In a room containing 20,000 feet cube of air, 600 feet cube of fresh air flows in per minute, and the mixture, made practically uniform by circulating fans, is exhausted at a rate of 600 cubic feet per minute, or CFM. What is the amount of fresh air y of t at any time if y of 0 equal to 0? After what time will 90% of the air be fresh? So let us write down the given data first. It is given that the amount of air inside the room is 20,000 feet cube. So volume of air is 20,000 feet cube, and 600 feet cube of fresh air is flowing inside the room per minute. So air flowing in is 600 CFM, or feet cube per minute. It is the same unit. CFM is same as feet cube per minute, and it is also given that the air exhausted is at the rate of 600 cubic feet per minute, the same thing. So 600 CFM. It is obvious that the amount of air going in should be equal to the amount of air going out. If the amount of air going in is more than the amount of air going out, then the volume of air inside the room would increase, and if the amount of air going in is less than the amount of air going out, then the volume of air inside the room would decrease. But it is not possible because the room is not inflatable. So it is obvious that the amount of air going in should be equal to the amount of air going out. But it is given that the air going in is fresh air, whereas the air going out is mixed with the air inside the room. So this 600 CFM is fresh air, and if we assume that this 20,000 cubic feet inside the room is foul air, then this 600 cubic feet per minute going out would be mixture of fresh plus foul air. So now it is given in the question that the amount of fresh air at any time is y of t. So y of t is amount of fresh air in the room at any time t, and an initial value condition has been given, which is y of 0 equal to 0. That means at time t equal to 0, the amount of fresh air in the room was 0. So initially all the 20,000 feet cube of air inside the room was foul air. Then at time t equal to 0, 600 cubic feet per minute air starts going in, and the fresh air is being mixed with the foul air inside the room by circulating fans, and the mixed air, the uniform mixed air, goes out at 600 cubic feet per minute. So we can write the balance law that the rate of change of fresh air inside the room equal to the fresh air going in per time, or the rate of inflow of fresh air minus the rate of outflow of fresh air, and this dy by dt is the rate of change of y, where y was the amount of fresh air. So this dy by dt is the rate of change of fresh air with respect to time. So now what is the rate of inflow of fresh air? It is given in the question. It is constant at 600 cubic feet per minute, but the rate of outflow of fresh air depends on y of t, the amount of fresh air in the room at any time t. Now since y of t is variable, that means at any time the amount of fresh air in the room is variable. Initially, as per the initial value condition, the fresh air in the room was 0, but as we pump in more and more fresh air in the room, the amount of fresh air inside the room increases, and thus the mixture has less and less amount of foul air and more amount of fresh air. And since this mixture of air is being pumped out, that is the mixture of fresh and foul air, so in this 600 cubic feet per minute of outgoing air, the amount of fresh air is different at any time t. So this rate of outflow will be variable. So let us write this as y dash equal to 600, this is in CFM, the unit is in CFM, minus rate of outflow of fresh air. Now how do we determine how much percentage or how much fraction of fresh air is inside this outflowing 600 cubic feet per minute? We know at any time this 20,000 feet cube of air inside the room has y of t amount of fresh air. So 1 feet cube has y of t by 20,000 feet cube of fresh air. This is the fraction of fresh air in 1 feet cube. So in the outgoing 600 feet cube per minute, so in 600 feet cube we have y by 20,000 into 600 feet cube of fresh air. So since this 600 feet cube is going out every minute, so this much amount of fresh air is going out every minute, and that is the rate of outflow of fresh air, which is y of t divided by 20,000 multiplied by 600, and this much amount feet cube per minute, same as CFM. So now we have established the ordinary differential equation or the model of the physical system. Now let us simplify it and solve it. So this implies y dash equal to 600 minus y multiplied by 3 divided by 100, which is equal to 600 minus 0.03y. So we can see that this differential equation can be solved by separation of variables method, because the right hand side only has y terms in it, and these y terms can be taken to the left hand side, and it can be written as dy by 600 minus 0.03y equal to dt, and both sides can be integrated. So this can be solved by separation of variables method, but we are going to follow the linear differential equation method for this problem. So we can write this as y dash plus 0.03y equal to 600, and now it is in the standard form of non-homogeneous linear differential equation, where this is the p of t and this is the r of t. We are writing p of t and r of t in place of p of x and r of x because here the independent variable is t instead of x. So we have h equal to integration of p dt, which is 0.03 t, and the solution y equal to e to the power minus 0.03 t whole into integration of 600, the r of x term, multiplied by e to the power 0.03 t dt plus constant of integration c. So this is equal to e to the power minus 0.03 t whole into 600 divided by 0.03 e to the power 0.03 t plus c. So this implies y equal to 20,000 plus c e to the power minus 0.03 t, and this is the general solution of this differential equation. Now we have been given the initial value condition that y of 0 equal to 0 in here. That means at time t equal to 0, the amount of fresh air y inside the room was 0. So we can put this initial value condition in the general solution to find the value of c. Let us do that. So we have 0 equal to 20,000 plus c. Now e to the power 0.03 t is 1 for t equal to 0. So this implies c equal to minus 20,000, and now we can find the particular solution, which is y equal to 20,000 plus minus 20,000 e to the power minus 0.03 t. So this implies y equal to 20,000 whole into 1 minus e to the power minus 0.03 t, and this is the particular solution of the differential equation. Now in this particular solution we can put any value of time t and it will give us the corresponding amount of fresh air in the room at that time t. Further, it is asking us in the question after what time 90% of the air will be fresh. So if 90% of this air will be fresh, then the volume of air that is fresh is 90% or 90 by 100 multiplied by this 20,000 feet cube. So if 90% of air is fresh, then y of t will be equal to 90 by 100 or 0.9 multiplied by 20,000, which is equal to 18,000 feet cube. So 90% of air is fresh means 18,000 feet cube of air inside the room is now fresh. So we can put this value in place of y to get the corresponding time. Here it is important to note that the y was the amount of fresh air or the volume of fresh air in the room at any time t. It is not the percentage. That is why we have calculated the amount of fresh air from the given percentage. So now we can write 18,000 equal to 20,000 whole into 1 minus e to the power minus 0.03 t. This implies e to the power minus 0.03 t equal to 1 minus 18 by 20, which implies minus 0.03 t equal to natural log 1 minus 18 by 20, and this implies t equal to 1 by minus 0.03 multiplied by natural log 1 minus 18 by 20, and this is equal to 76.75, and the unit is in minutes because we have been working with minutes all along. The volume of air flowing in was in feet cube per minute, going out was in CFM. So we have been working in the unit of time in minutes all along. So this time unit will be in minutes. So it will take 76.75 minutes for 90% of the air inside the room to be fresh.